Have you ever played rock, paper, scissors and wondered if there was a secret to winning? Not just getting lucky, but a perfect, unbeatable strategy. It seems like a simple game of chance, but it's actually a battle of psychology, a loop of you predicting what your opponent thinks you will do. Or consider a more serious puzzle overfishing. Why is it that groups of perfectly rational fishermen, all wanting to secure long term prosperity, can sometimes fish a species to the brink of extinction? Each one knows that if everyone takes too much, the resource will vanish, yet it continues to happen. These situations, one a simple game and the other a global economic problem, are not as difficult as they seem. They're both windows into a hidden logic that governs our world, and the tool we use to understand this logic is called game theory. Hi everyone, I'm Kevin, a high school junior from Hong Kong. I've always been fascinated by deconstructing the systems around us to understand the why behind the choices people make. I believe that if you can understand the incentives and strategies at play, you can understand almost any outcome. That's why I'm starting this new 5-part series to build a complete toolkit for strategic thinking. We'll start by mastering static games where players move at the same time, like the famous Prisoner's Dilemma. Then, we'll level up to dynamic games where we'll explore why timing is everything. Our entire journey begins today with the essential building blocks. In game theory, a game isn't necessarily about fun. It's any situation where the outcome of your choice depends on the choices made by others. This element of interdependence is what makes it a game. Every game, from a simple negotiation to a complex market, has three core components. First, you need players. These are the decision makers within the game. A player is a single, unified decision-making unit. It could be an individual person, but it could also be a corporation where a board of directors acts as one player, or an entire country in a climate change negotiation where the government's official position represents the nation as a single player. This is an important distinction. The weather, for instance, can affect the outcome of a farming business, but the weather isn't a player because it doesn't make strategic choices based on what the farmer does. A player must be a thinking entity trying to maximize its own outcome. Second, each player has strategies. A strategy is much more than a single move. It's a complete plan of action. It specifies what a player will do in every possible situation that could arise. There are two main types. A pure strategy is when a player chooses one specific action and sticks to it. For example, in rock, paper, scissors, a pure strategy would be always play rock. While simple, it's also highly predictable. This is why more advanced players use mixed strategies. A mixed strategy involves choosing your moves probabilistically. For example, a pro rock, paper, scissors player might decide to play rock 40% of the time, paper 30% of the time, and scissors 30% of the time, using a randomizer to make their actual choice. This makes them completely unpredictable. In business, a company might use a mixed strategy for something like random quality inspection to keep employees on their toes. It's a plan that incorporates calculated randomness. Finally, for every combination of strategies, there's an outcome, which we measure with payoffs. Payoffs represent a player's motivation and are measured in what we call utility, a numerical score of how much a player values a particular outcome. A higher number means a better result. This is easy to understand when the payoff is money, but what about non-monetary outcomes? How do you assign a number to something abstract like reputation, political stability, or personal happiness? Game theorists do this by ranking preferences. If you prefer outcome A to outcome B, and outcome B to outcome C, you can assign utility values like A equals 10, B equals 5, and C equals 1. As long as we consistently rank the outcomes, we can analyze the game mathematically. To analyze games in a clear, logical way, we start with two foundational assumptions. These are simplifications, but they allow us to build a powerful framework. First, we assume players are rational. This is a technical term. It doesn't mean sensible or nice. It means a player has consistent preferences and will always choose the action they believe will lead to their best personal outcome. They are logical utility maximizers. Now, we all know humans aren't always perfectly rational. We can be emotional, altruistic, or just make mistakes. So why make this assumption? Because it gives us a baseline prediction. By calculating the rational outcome, we can see what a perfectly logical, self-interested player will do. If the real-world outcome is different, it signals that other factors, like trust, social norms, or cognitive biases, are at play. This turns the assumption from a simple caricature into a powerful analytical tool for identifying where human psychology deviates from pure logic. On top of this, we assume rationality is common knowledge. This means that not only is every player rational, but every player knows that all other players are rational, and so on. This shared understanding is public information, like a headline everyone has read, and it allows players to anticipate the actions of others with much more confidence. Second, we assume complete information. This means every player knows the entire structure of the game. They know who the other players are, they know all the possible strategies each player can use, and they know the payoffs for every player for every possible outcome. Think of it like playing a game of poker where all the cards are dealt face up. There are no secrets about the rules or the stakes. Of course, in the real world, information is rarely complete. You might not know exactly how much a competitor is willing to pay for a piece of land. These are called games of incomplete information, and they involve fascinating concepts like signaling and bluffing. That's a more advanced topic for another day, but it shows how deep this field can go. For now, we'll stick to our world of complete information. So, how do we visualize all of this? For games where players choose their strategies at the same time, we can use a powerful tool called a payoff matrix. It's the game board for our analysis. Let's build one with a simple example. Imagine you and a friend are deciding between going to a party or the movies. You prefer the party. This gives you 10 points of utility. Your friend prefers the movies, which gives them 10 points. You'd both much rather go to your second choice together, worth 5 points to you both, than end up going out alone, which is worth 0 points. We can map this onto a grid. Your choices, parties, or movies make up the rows. Your friend's choices make up the columns. Inside each cell, we'll write the payoffs as a pair of numbers, with your score always coming first as your payoff, comma, your friend's payoff. Let's fill in the top left cell. This is where both of you chose party. This is your first choice, so you get 10 points. It's your friend's second choice, but you're together, so they get 5 points. The payoff is 10, comma 5. Now, let's consider the bottom right cell, where you both choose movies. This is your second choice, so you get 5 points. It's your friend's first choice, so they get 10 points. The payoff is 5, comma 10. In the other two cells, you end up in different places, which is the worst outcome for both of you. So, if you choose party and they choose movies, or vice versa, the payoff is 0, comma 0. This matrix gives us a powerful snapshot of the entire game. It shows us there's no single best strategy. What's best for you depends entirely on the choice your friend makes. This highlights the core concept of interdependence. Now, let's apply this powerful tool to a much higher stakes situation, the famous prisoner's dilemma. Here's the story. You and your partner in crime are arrested and placed in separate, soundproof interrogation rooms. You cannot communicate. An experienced, calm detective enters your room, sits down opposite you, and lays out a deal, making it crystal clear that your partner is getting the exact same offer. Here's the situation, the detective says. We don't have enough hard evidence to convict you on the main charge, which would be 20 years in prison, but we can convict you both on a lesser charge, which is 1 year. Then comes the offer. If you confess and implicate your partner, and they stay silent, you walk free. 0 years for you. Your partner will take the fall and get the full 20 years. But, he continues, leaning in, if they confess and you stay silent, they'll walk free, and you'll be the one doing 20 years. If you both confess, we don't need either of you as much. You'll both get 5 years. And, by some miracle of loyalty, you both stay silent, we can only get you on the lesser charge. You'll each serve just 1 year. He gestures to the one-way mirror on the wall. Your partner is right there, wrestling with the same choice. Do you think they're going to stay loyal to you when their freedom is on the line? Or are they going to take the smart way out? The only thing you can control is your own fate. Let's map this onto a matrix. Your strategies are confess or stay silent. The payoffs are negative numbers because years in prison are a bad outcome. If you both confess, the payoff is -5, comma, -5. If you both stay silent, the payoff is -1, comma, -1. If you confess and your partner stays silent, the payoff is 0, comma, -20. 0 for you, -20 for them. If you stay silent and your partner confesses, it's the reverse. -20 for you, comma, 0 for them. So, you're sitting alone in that room. You must make a choice. You cannot talk to your partner. All you know is that they are a rational, self-interested player, just like you, and that they are analyzing this exact same set of payoffs. You both want to minimize your own time in prison, so what do you do? What is the single, logical, rational move for you to make? Do you confess, or do you stay silent? Think about it carefully. What choice guarantees the best possible outcome for you, no matter what your partner does? Let me know your choice and your reasoning in the comments below. In the next episode, we will solve this puzzle together, and the answer will probably surprise you. It has profound, mind-blowing implications for everything from corporate competition to international politics. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the moment we unravel the dilemma. Thank you for watching.